Hi, my name is Anthony Hoff. I run this farm with my wife and my daughter. It's a family farm. Our goals here are to create a legacy that is not only fruitful, sustainable, and profitable for our family, but also for the community here in Louisiana, as well as the culture of our local area. Heart and Harvest Homestead is located on a larger plot of land on 6 acres here in West Shreveport, Louisiana. Heart and Harvest Homestead is an organic farm that uses regenerative and permaculture principles in all of its practical applications on the farm. We host over 200 fruit trees on this property, approximately 150 laying hens, several dogs, some guinea fowl, and a few geese. We have a 1/4 acre organic market garden on the farm, and we are leasing land from another member of the No Till organic market garden community. His name is David Beater. He is the owner operator of Super Chicken Farms, and he also has a 1/4 acre organic market garden on this property. We are farming over 1/2 acre of land for organic market garden production on this piece of property. Which brings me to an interesting point. Over the past 3 years, we've faced huge challenges. Just considering what the weather's thrown at us the past 3 years, we've had record-breaking freezes, record-breaking drought, record-breaking heat. We've broken the record for early freezes and for chill hours leading into spring and rainfall in the spring. And we've faced about every obstacle that the weather and nature can put in front of us. But in my personal case, we've also faced some other challenges that have brought us to this point today. Those challenges came in the form for our family of facing eviction notices when we were in a rent-to-own situation with a landlord who was previously friendly to us. And without getting lost in the weeds on that, we were put at the crossroads of potentially not being able to continue this program and having to relocate our entire farm, all of our animals, all of our trees. And while we were in the middle of this crossroads, Mr. David Beater was also at a decision point in his life where he might have to sacrifice his dreams of farming as well. His wife had gotten called up to move to an entirely different city for the medical field. And while we were both at these pivotal points in our farming journey, we were able to come together. Mr. Beater found a way to keep his farm, to keep it active, and in doing so, he allowed us to lease land from him on this farm. So, Super Chicken Farms and Heart and Harvest Homestead are located on the same piece of property on this 6 acres. By working together, we were able to overcome these obstacles that had affected both of our personal lives and almost threatened to risk this entire 3-year program, not only for myself, but also for Mr. David Beater. We were able to come together on this land, and I was able to find a place to rehome our animals as well as our fruit trees. We were able to work together and turn 2 unfortunate situations that almost meant the end of our farming journeys and synthesize our vision and create something really special on this farm. So by having multiple people working on this farm with the same dream and with the same vision in mind, we are now able to up our level of performance, we're able to up our level of production, and we're able to scale up with our dreams of farming. So we are now growing twice as much produce as either of us would have been doing individually on our own. We have an orchard that is 5 to 6 times the size that I would have been able to host on my old property, which was only 1.5 acres in size. And the property here meets all of our growing conditions that we need much better than the past property that I lived on, which we had huge erosion issues and we didn't have flat ground even necessarily to grow on. One of the big ecological challenges that we faced here on this property, aside from all of our own personal hurdles that we had to overcome to make this dream come true, was that this piece of land was heavily compacted. It had been mowed by the same person with the same tractor in the same lanes for decades and decades. And you could feel those ruts when you're going over the yard. And this was owned by the neighboring church. And the neighboring church also used it as a baseball field. So Part of where one of the quarter-acre market gardens lies used to be the entire infield and part of the outfield for the church baseball team. So it's funny, we'll actually still dig up baseballs from time to time, and you can see the backstop for the baseball field actually located behind the back corner of that field. But because of that, there was a lot of heavy compaction, and we faced in the first season on that quarter acre, the back half of the entire plot would just sit in stagnant water, and it was practically unusable. And you were only able to really farm the front half of that quarter acre in that first year. And we knew that we needed to get water infiltration, and we knew we needed to get deep root structures to help us break up some of that compacted soil. So in that first season, we planted sorghum Sudan grass, we planted buckwheat, and we planted a bunch of various other cover crops. Well, the Sudan grass is really what did it. It had a plethora of biomass for when we did turn everything over, and it also just has deep root networks. They were able to break up some of that compaction. And from the first year to the second year, we were actually able to farm in that piece of land that otherwise had standing water, stagnant, had an off-putting smell. The soil was a dark gray color. And just in 1 year on working our compaction levels and growing cover crops in that area, we now have a nice rich mat of black fertile topsoil there. And we still have a long way to go, but that was probably the biggest ecological challenge, and the thing that we've noticed benefited us the most through these no-till practices was getting those cover crops in place. We're having better infiltration with water, we're building more biomass, and we're taking over more of this land that was otherwise too compacted to even grow food. The no-till organic market garden methods that we've put into practice in the past 3 years have really come through for us. We see a whole host of beneficial insects. We see a army of assassin bugs where we used to not even be able to grow certain crops because the squash bug pressure was too big in the first year. And now we have the built-in predatory insect base to help us with that without even having to use organic sprays or diatomaceous earth or neem oil or spinosad or BT. We have songbirds that take care of our caterpillar population. We have arachnid wasps that help us with that caterpillar population as well. You can't move any of the organic matter anywhere without stumbling into half a dozen or a dozen earthworms. It's amazing. We have a deep mulch system. We create all of our own compost in-house, and we're constantly feeding our soil here on this program. And you really see, by not depleting the soil and not doing heavy tillage and not leaving the soil bare for weed seeds to germinate and for the heat to nuke the microbiology in the soil. These practices really show you just how fast you can take a heavily compacted area, something that used to be a baseball field that was covered in grass, and how quickly you can turn it into a nutrient-rich environment where you could then grow nutrient-rich food.